You act as if you will live 10,000 years. You waste hours on trivialities waiting for the perfect moment, but look at the clock. Every tick is a piece of your life that you will never see again. The Stoics didn't wait for permission. They knew the truth. It is time. Time to stop existing and finally start living. The time to make difficult choices. You already know what you need to do. You've known for months, maybe years, and yet you're still here, still stuck, still waiting, still hoping that somehow the difficult choice will make itself. That time will resolve it, that circumstances will shift, and the decision you've been avoiding will become unnecessary. But here's what you're not admitting. The choice isn't getting easier. It's getting harder. The problem isn't getting smaller, it's getting bigger. And every day you delay, every week you wait, every month you convince yourself it's not time yet. You're not avoiding the pain, you're just letting it compound, letting it spread, letting it infect more of your life until what could have been one difficult choice becomes a series of catastrophic consequences you can't undo. The Stoics understood something most people never learn. They understood that difficult choices don't improve with age, that postponing a hard decision doesn't make it easier. It makes it necessary and urgent and unavoidable. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Think of yourself as dead. You have lived your life now. Take what's left and live it properly." And what he meant is this: stop waiting. Stop delaying, stop pretending you have unlimited time to make the choices that will determine the quality of your life. Because you have now, you have today. You have this moment and the difficult choice you're avoiding. It's costing you more than you realize. And if you're here, if you're reading this, if something in you recognized the title, then you already know. There's a choice you've been avoiding, a decision you've been delaying, a change you've been resisting, and deep down you know it's time. You know you can't keep going like this. You know something has to shift, and what I'm about to tell you won't be comfortable, won't be reassuring, won't make it easier, but it will be true. And truth is what you need right now. Not comfort, not permission, not reassurance, but the clarity to finally do what you already know needs to be done. Here's what's happening right now. You're waiting for the perfect moment, waiting for certainty, waiting for a sign, some cosmic confirmation that this is the right choice, the right time, the right circumstances. And while you're waiting, while you're looking for permission from the universe, from other people, from some future version of yourself who's magically more ready, more capable, more certain, the opportunity to make the choice on your terms is disappearing, because difficult choices, they don't wait, they don't pause, they don't stay contained. They grow, they spread, they force themselves. And when you finally make them, when you're finally forced to decide, it's not because you chose the timing, it's because the timing chose you. Here's what waiting looks like. You're in a relationship that's been wrong for a year, maybe longer. They probably know it, but you keep waiting. Waiting for the right time, waiting for after the holidays, after the vacation, after things settle down, after you're sure. And while you're waiting, you're both dying slowly, quietly, pretending everything's fine, when really you're just two people avoiding the same difficult conversation. And every day you wait, every week you delay. You're not sparing anyone pain, you're just spreading it thinner, making it last longer, making it hurt more. Because the relationship isn't getting better, it's getting more enmeshed, more complicated, more expensive to untangle. Or you're in a job that's killing you, not literally, but spiritually, mentally. It's wrong. It's been wrong. It's wrong. You wake up dreading it. You come home drained from it. You spend your evenings recovering from it, and your weekends dreading the return to it. And yet you stay. You wait. You tell yourself it's not the right time to leave. You need more savings, more security, more certainty about what's next. And while you're waiting, while you're building that perfect exit plan, that moment of total readiness. Years are passing, real years of your one finite life, and you're spending them in a place that's making you less, not more. Marcus Aurelius faced this constantly, decisions that couldn't wait, problems that demanded action, choices that had no good option, only less bad ones, and he could have delayed, could have waited for better information, better circumstances, better options. But he understood something fundamental that Seneca taught explicitly. We are always complaining that our days are few and acting as though there would be no end to them. You're acting like you have forever, like there's always more time, like you can afford to wait, but you can't. Every day you delay is a day you don't get back every week. You wait is a week spent living a life, is wrong. Epictetus was even more direct. He told his students, how long are you going to wait before you demand the best for yourself? And that's the question you need to answer. How long? How much longer? How many more months? How many more years are you going to wait before you make the difficult choice you already know you need to make, because the time, the perfect time, the moment of total readiness, it's not coming, it doesn't exist. The only time you have is now, and now is passing. I've watched people wait for years, wait for the right time, to leave the relationship, to quit the job, to start the business, to have the conversation, to make the change. And you know what happens, you know what the right time turns out to be. It's when they have no choice left. It's when the relationship explodes, when they get fired, when their health breaks, when the opportunity closes, when waiting is no longer an option. And then they make the choice, but they make it from weakness, from desperation, from having no alternative, instead of from strength, from clarity, from choosing their own timing. And the choice is the same. The action is the same. But the position is completely different because they waited too long. So here's what you need to understand. The time to make difficult choices is before you have to, is while you still have options, is while you can still do it on your terms. Not when you're forced, not when you're desperate, not when all other options have been exhausted. But now, while you still have leverage, while you still have choice, while you can still steer instead of just react. The first thing you need to recognize is that difficulty is not a reason to delay. It's confirmation that the choice matters, because easy choices, they make themselves. They're obvious, they're simple, they don't require courage, they don't require strength, they don't require you to face anything you'd rather avoid. But difficult choices, the ones that keep you up at night, the ones you've been thinking about for months, the ones that make your stomach tight when you imagine making them, those choices, they're difficult precisely because they matter, because they'll change things, because they require you to step into uncertainty. And uncertainty is where growth lives. Here's what most people don't understand. They think difficulty is a signal to wait, to gather more information, to prepare more, to make sure they're absolutely certain before they act. But difficulty isn't a stop sign. It's not a warning that you're not ready. It's confirmation that this choice is important, that it will matter, that making it will require you to become someone slightly different than who you are now, and that becoming that transformation, that's not something to avoid. It's the whole point. Marcus Aurelius didn't avoid difficult choices because they were difficult. He made them because they were necessary. He wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." And the strength he's talking about, it comes from making difficult choices, from acting despite uncertainty, from doing what's right, even when it's hard, especially when it's hard, because that's where character is built. Epictetus taught that difficulties are things that show a person what they are, and the difficult choice you're avoiding, it's showing you something right now. It's showing you that you're willing to accept discomfort, to avoid uncertainty, that you're willing to stay in a situation you know is wrong, to avoid the discomfort of making it right. And that's showing that revelation about who you are right now. It's not fixed, it's not permanent, You can change it, but only by making the choice, only by doing the difficult thing, only by proving to yourself that you're capable of more than just enduring what's comfortable. I know someone who delayed a difficult choice for 3 years. They knew the relationship was over, knew they needed to leave, knew they were both just going through the motions. But it was comfortable, it was familiar. It was easier to stay than to face the difficulty of leaving, and they told themselves they were waiting for the right time, waiting to be sure, waiting for circumstances to improve. But circumstances didn't improve. They deteriorated slowly, quietly, and after 3 years, after wasting 3 years of both their lives, they finally made the choice. They finally left. And you know what they said? You know what they realized? They said, I should have done this 3 years ago. Every single person says that everyone who delays a difficult choice eventually makes it and then looks back and realizes they should have made it sooner, because the difficulty didn't decrease. The certainty didn't increase. The only thing that changed was they finally accepted that difficulty is not a reason to delay. Seneca warned about this explicitly. He said, we are not given a short life, but we make it short. We are not ill-supplied, but wasteful of it. And you're being wasteful. You're wasting your life waiting for difficult to become easy, waiting for uncertain to become certain, waiting for a version of the choice that doesn't require courage, and it's not coming. The choice will always be difficult, will always require courage, will always involve uncertainty. The only question is when you make it while you still have agency, while you still have choice, or when you're forced to, when you have no choice left. So here's the shift you need to make. Stop seeing difficulty as a reason to delay and start seeing it as confirmation that this choice matters, that making it will grow you, that avoiding it is costing you, and make it not because it's easy, not because you're certain, not because you're ready, but because it's necessary, because it's time. Because every day you delay is another day living a life you already know is wrong. The second thing you need to understand is that there's a cost to waiting, a real measurable cost, and that cost, it's not just time, it's opportunity, it's growth, it's the person you could have become if you'd made the choice sooner, because every day you stay in the wrong relationship, the wrong job, the wrong city, the wrong life. You're not just losing time, you're losing the chance to build the right one. Here's what the cost looks like. You stay in the relationship that's not working, and while you're there, while you're maintaining something is ending, you're not available, you're not open, you're not building the relationship that could actually work. And maybe that person, that right person, they cross your path. They're there, they're available, they're interested, but you're not. You're occupied, you're committed to something that's already dead, and they move on, and you'll never know. You'll never know what you missed because you were too afraid to end what needed to end, or you stay in the job, and while you're there, while you're trading your time for a paycheck in a place that doesn't value you, doesn't develop, you doesn't want what you have to offer. You're not building skills, you're not taking risks, you're not learning. You're just maintaining, and the opportunities, the real ones, the ones that would have challenged you, grown you, transformed you, they pass you by because you're not available, because you're too busy, staying somewhere safe. Marcus Aurelius understood this. He wrote, "The best revenge is not to be like your enemy, and the best response to a difficult situation is not to wait for it to resolve itself, but to actively change it." Because waiting is passive, waiting is hoping. Waiting is giving your power to time, to circumstance, to anything other than yourself. And passivity has a cost in growth, in new opportunity, in the person you could have become. Epictetus was teaching this 2,000 years ago. He said people are not disturbed by things, but by the views they take of them. And your view right now, your perspective on this difficult choice, is that waiting makes it easier, that delay reduces the cost, that time will somehow make what's hard become simple, but it won't. Time doesn't reduce difficulty. Time compounds consequences. Time turns a difficult choice into an impossible situation. I watched someone stay in a job they hated for 5 years. 5 years of complaining. 5 years of being drained. 5 years of coming home exhausted. And they had a reason. They were waiting. Waiting to save enough money. Waiting for the market to improve. Waiting for the perfect opportunity. And while they waited, while they were stuck in that holding pattern, their skills atrophied, their network weakened, their confidence eroded. And when they finally left, when they finally made the choice, they weren't leaving from a position of strength. They were leaving burned out, bitter, 5 years older with 5 years less energy, and they had to rebuild everything they could have been building. If they'd left 5 years earlier, Seneca saw this pattern everywhere. People waiting for the right time to start living, to make changes, to do what they knew they should do. And he wrote, begin at once to live and count each separate day as a separate life, because each day you delay, each day you wait, each day you stay in a situation you know is wrong, is a day you're not living, is a day you're just surviving, just enduring, just waiting for a future that never arrives, because the future doesn't arrive, only the present arrives. And if you're not living in the present, if you're always waiting for some future moment when things will be different, when you'll be ready, when the choice will be easier, then you're not living at all. You're just postponing. So here's what you calculate. Here's what you measure. Not whether the choice is difficult, but what's the cost of not making it? What are you losing every day? You wait. What opportunities are passing? What growth are you missing? What version of yourself are you preventing from existing? Because you're too afraid to make the difficult choice. And when you calculate that cost, when you really add it up, you'll realize that the difficulty of making the choice is nothing compared to the cost of continuing to avoid it. The third thing you need to face, and this is the one that really matters, is that you're not waiting for the right time. You're waiting to be someone different, someone braver, someone more certain, someone more ready. And that person, that future version of yourself, who's going to make this choice easily, confidently, without fear, they don't exist. They're not coming because that person is created by making the choice, not before it. Here's the trap you're in. You think, I'm not ready to make this choice yet. I need to be stronger, more confident, more certain. And when I am, when I've become that person, then I'll make the choice. But that's backwards. That's completely backwards. You don't become confident and then make difficult choices. You make difficult choices, and that makes you confident. You don't become brave and then face your fears. You face your fears, and that makes you brave. The person you're waiting to become is created through the choice, not before it. Marcus Aurelius didn't wait until he felt ready to be emperor. He became emperor and then became ready through the daily practice of making difficult choices, of acting, despite uncertainty, of doing what was right, even when he didn't feel confident, even when he didn't feel prepared, even when he didn't feel ready. Epictetus taught this directly. He said, first say to yourself what you would be, and then do what you have to do. Not first become who you would be, and then do what you have to do. You decide who you want to be, and then you do the things that person would do, even when you don't feel like that person. Yet, even when you're uncertain, even when you're afraid, because the doing creates the being, the action creates the identity, the choice creates the character. I know someone who waited for years to start their business, waited until they felt ready, until they felt confident, until they felt like an entrepreneur, and the waiting never ended because they never felt ready, never felt confident, never felt like the person who could do it, until one day they just started scared, uncertain, completely unready, and they failed, they made mistakes, they struggled. But through that struggle, through that uncertainty, through making difficult choices every day, they became the person they'd been waiting to become. They became an entrepreneur, not by waiting to feel like one, but by acting like one even when they didn't feel like it. Seneca understood this completely. He wrote, "It is not because things are difficult that we do not dare, it is because we do not dare that they are difficult." You're waiting to dare, waiting to feel brave enough, waiting to feel ready enough, but the daring creates the readiness. The action creates the capability. The choice creates the strength. So here's what you accept. You're not going to feel ready. You're not going to feel certain. You're not going to feel confident. Not before the choice. Those feelings come after they come through. They come from the act of making the difficult choice, despite not feeling ready. So stop waiting to become someone different and start making the choices that will make you different. Because the person you're waiting to be is on the other side of the choice, not before it. The fourth thing you need to understand is that there are two kinds of pain: the pain of making the difficult choice and the pain of living with the consequences of not making it. And one of these pains is temporary, is acute, is survivable, and the other is chronic, is grinding, is the slow erosion of everything you could have been. Here's what most people do. They compare the pain of the choice, the immediate discomfort, the difficulty, the uncertainty to their current situation, and they think, "I'll just stay here, this isn't so bad, I can endure this." But that comparison is false, because your current situation, it's not static, it's deteriorating every day. You stay in the wrong relationship, it gets worse every month. You stay in the wrong job, you get more stuck every year. You delay the difficult choice, the pain of staying increases, and the pain of leaving increases with it, because now there's more to untangle, more to lose, more inertia to overcome. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "If it is not right, do not do it. If it is not true, do not say it." And the inverse is also true. If it is right, do it. If it is true, say it even when it's painful. Because the pain of doing what's right is temporary, but the pain of living wrong is permanent. It's there when you wake up. It's there when you go to sleep. It's there in every moment you're pretending everything's fine, when you know it's not. Epictetus taught that we should choose the pain that produces growth over the pain that produces nothing, and the pain of making a difficult choice. It produces growth, produces change, produces movement toward something better. But the pain of staying, of avoiding, of delaying it, produces nothing except more pain, more regret, more years wasted. I've seen both kinds of pain. I've watched someone make the difficult choice, end the relationship, quit the job, make the change. And yes, it hurt. Yes, it was hard. Yes, there were moments of doubt, of fear, of wondering if they'd made a mistake. But that pain, it had an end. It had a purpose. It was moving them towards something, and within months, they were better. We're growing. We're building something new, and I've watched someone else choose the other pain, choose to stay, to avoid, to delay. And that pain, it never ended. It just became their normal, became their daily experience, became the background hum of a life lived wrong. And years later, they're still there, still in pain, still wishing they'd made the choice. When they had the chance, Seneca said, "We suffer more in imagination than in reality." And the suffering you're imagining about making the difficult choice, about ending the relationship, about quitting the job, about making the change, most of it is worse in your head than it will be in reality. But the suffering of staying, the suffering of avoiding, the suffering of living a life you know is wrong, that's exactly as bad as you imagine, and it never ends unless you make the choice. So here's the question: which pain do you choose? The acute pain of making the difficult choice, the pain that hurts now but heals later, or the chronic pain of avoiding it, the pain that's manageable now but compounds forever because you have to choose one or the other. There's no option where you feel no pain. There's only the choice of which pain you're willing to carry. The fifth thing, and this is what makes it urgent, is that the window for making the choice on your terms is closing, because difficult choices, they don't wait indefinitely. They don't stay frozen waiting for you to be ready. They evolve, they escalate, they force themselves. And the longer you wait, the less control you have over how they resolve. Here's what happens when you delay the choice that could have been made. Cleanly becomes messy. The conversation that could have been direct becomes complicated. The ending that could have been mutual becomes one-sided. Because while you've been waiting, while you've been avoiding the situation, has been developing, has been getting more entangled, more difficult, more expensive to resolve, and eventually you run out of time. Eventually the choice makes itself. The relationship ends, but not the way you would have ended it. The job ends, but not the way you would have left it. The opportunity closes and you don't get another one, and you're left dealing with the consequences of someone else's timing instead of your own. Marcus Aurelius understood urgency. He wrote, "You could leave life right now. Let that determine what you do and say and think." Not as a morbid thought, but as a clarifying one, because time is limited. Because windows close, because the opportunity to make difficult choices on your terms, it doesn't last forever. Epictetus taught that we should act as if each moment is our last chance to do what's right. Because it is often the window for making the choice with grace, with control. With agency is smaller than we think, and when it closes, when we've waited too long, we don't get to make the choice anymore. We just get to deal with the consequences of not making it. I watched someone wait too long to end a relationship. They knew it was over. They knew they should leave, but they waited for the right time, the right words, the right circumstances. And while they waited, their partner made the choice for them, ended it messily, publicly, in a way that hurt far more than if they'd acted when they knew they should, and all they could think, all they kept saying was, "I should have done it when I wanted to. I should have controlled the timing. I should have made the choice before it was made for me." Seneca wrote, "While we wait for life, life passes," and the same is true for difficult choices. While you wait for the perfect time, while you wait for readiness, while you wait for certainty, the window for making the choice on your terms is passing, is narrowing, is closing, and soon you won't have the choice anymore. You'll just have the consequences. So here's what you accept. The window is closing. The opportunity to make this choice with control, with agency, with your timing. It's finite, and every day you wait is one less day you have to make it on your terms. So stop waiting, stop delaying, stop pretending you have unlimited time, because you don't. The time is now, and now is already passing. Here's what ties everything together. The time to make difficult choices is not when you feel ready, not when circumstances align, not when you're certain. The time is when you know, and you already know. You've known for weeks, for months, maybe for years, and every day. You've delayed every week. You've waited. Hasn't made the choice easier, hasn't made you more ready, hasn't changed the fundamental truth that this choice needs to be made. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Waste no more time arguing what a good man should be. Be one," and the same applies here. Waste no more time debating when to make the difficult choice. Make it now. Make it while you still have control, while you still have agency, while you can still do it on your terms. Epictetus taught that freedom comes from accepting what must be done and doing it, and the choice you've been avoiding. It must be done. The relationship that's not working must end. The job that's draining you must be left. The conversation you've been avoiding must be had. And accepting the necessity is the first step toward freedom, because once you accept that it must be done, the question is no longer if, the question is when, and when is. Now Seneca said, "We are always complaining that our days are few and acting as though there would be no end to them, and you're acting like you have forever, like you can afford to wait, like there's always tomorrow to make the choice. But there isn't. There's only today. There's only now. And if you don't make the choice now, you're not avoiding it. You're just choosing to live one more day in a situation is wrong. So here's what you do. You stop reading, you stop thinking, you stop preparing, and you act. You make the call. You have the conversation. You make the choice, not perfectly, not with certainty, not when you're ready, but now, because now is all you have. And the difficult choice you've been avoiding, it's not getting easier, it's getting necessary. And necessary doesn't wait for perfect timing. Necessary demands action. Now, the difficult choice is waiting. The relationship that needs to end the job. You need to leave the conversation. You need to have the change. You need to make its waiting, and every day you make it wait. Every week you delay. You're not avoiding pain. You're compounding it. You're not waiting for readiness. You're waiting for a version of yourself that only exists on the other side of making the choice. The time is not tomorrow, not next week, not when circumstances improve. The time is now, right now, this moment, and you know it. You've always known it. You just needed permission to stop waiting. So here's your permission. Make the choice. Make it today. Make it while you still can. Make it while you still have control. Because the window is closing, and on the other side of the difficult choice is the life you've been waiting for. But you can't get there by waiting. You can only get there by choosing. Stay focused, stay grounded, and remember, difficult choices don't get easier with time. They get necessary, and necessary doesn't wait. So stop waiting, stop delaying, stop pretending you need more time, and make the choice, because the time is now, and now is already passing.